What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Easy Convo. I'm joined here with my co-host, Mr. Zaid Dajani. We're doing our best every week to provide you guys with the best and the most quality easy conversations. Today, we're joined by a wonderful guest, a spectacular worker, and somebody who, quite frankly, will just kick your ass. Zaid, take it away.
Yeah, guys. So today we're sitting down with Jacob Gerber Baby Thrall. He has a 13-3-1 amateur record, multiple title fights with a 15-7-1 pro MMA record, a 1-0 kickboxing record, 3-1 in boxing, and 0-1 in bubble glove fighting. He was one of the first fighters to do the bubble glove boxing for, correct me, is it triad or triad?
Triad combat.
Triad comeback on Triller in front of 23,000 people in Rangers Stadium. Obviously, a very decorated fighter who also has some big news coming up that we'll touch on later in this episode. Jacob, we appreciate you coming on, man, and we hope this is an easy combo for you.
I appreciate you guys having me on. I love the intro. That's dope.
We appreciate it. So just to start off, man, why don't you tell the audience just a little bit about a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what you're about.
So I'm from Topeka, Kansas. Born and raised here. I run Twin Dragon MMA, and got a really good team out of there. So
Nice.
Excuse me, I had the hiccups there. So starting into the MMA career that you've developed, could you tell us a little bit more about like what originally got you into combat sports and things like that?
So it started off when I was in kind of like once I got out of high school. I didn't want to stop competing. I had like kind of aspirations of being a professional athlete. I wanted to go to the NFL, and I slowly realized that I was not big enough, fast enough, strong enough to do those things. And I really loved wrestling. And one of my buddies, his brother-in-law at the time, and his sister were doing MMA, and that's kind of how I got into it. I made like a little Facebook post, and he kind of chimed in on it, and that's kind of where it started, man. We were just training out of pretty much his garage for the most part, and then this little studio out in the town, kind of like a little south of here, and it was just us four training for the first probably like 5 or 6 years. We had like one other training partner. I wouldn't say 5 or 6, but first couple of years, and that's kind of really where I got started, man. So yeah, yeah.
Very cool. And so that would have been while you were in high school. Is that correct? When you first
Uh,
started MMA?
right out of high school, probably like
Right.
my first year. Yeah, I think I was just turned 19 when I had my first amateur fight. So,
Very cool. And you mentioned you were training with a couple other guys. Growing up, did you have any? Well, I guess when you first got into fighting, were there kind of any mentors or coaches that kind of got you into it, or people you looked up to when you first started?
I mean, like the coach that I had at the time, Mark Norman, he was probably like my biggest like influence. Man, he did a lot for me. I mean, he'd pick me up from practice, take me to practice, and just pretty much handling everything on that kind of end. And I didn't really have a lot, growing up as far as like family kind of like pushing me towards it. And he was really just that kind of like role model, and just a big help. And but as far as like people I looked up to, like I mean, no nobody necessarily locally, but like I look up like Chuck Liddell, Rampage Jackson. Just I love their style. Just real gritty dudes, and just a bunch of power behind their fighting styles. And I grew up kind of watching that, and just I fed off that style. So
Definitely, and I'm so glad you touched on Chuck Liddell, man. That takes me back to like I remember my older brother. He had it's like the Xbox 360, and he had
hmm
UFC 2009 on there. And every time I get on there, dude, every time I pick Chuck Liddell and things like
oh
that.
yeah,
Just I thought he was the coolest dude. He had the coolest nickname.
yeah.
Hard ass for sure. Um, but I wanted to ask you this, with the team you had around you at such a young age, at age 19, you said, just how were you guys able to push each other and stay consistent in your pursuit in your combat sports careers?
Um, Honestly, man, we were just gritty. We just beat the crap out of each other, and Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's kind of how it was, man. Like, there was really not a lot of technical like aspects about it as like when we first started. Like, I mean, I mean, a little bit, but like we were just gritty and we just, we just beat the crap out of each other all day, every day. And
Yeah,
kind of looking back at it now, it's kind of not probably the best way of training. Definitely lost a lot of brain cells and stuff like that. But definitely made me who I am today. As far as just that kind of that grit. So.
100%. That's dope.
And like when you first started it, was it something you were like, okay, I really want to take this as like a career, or was it more just like a hobby and something you just enjoyed doing at the time, or when it was it where a moment for you where like this is something versus something I just like versus something that I really want to do as a career?
I feel like I always had it that I wanted to be a career. I just like I always had it in the back of my head that I could, that I wanted to go to the UFC and that I could potentially do it. And it didn't really start kicking in until like I won my first title. One of my teammates, he fell out of a title fight, and I stepped in, and that's kind of really where like my career actually took off. Like my first couple fights, just kind of easy going, and then I got my first title fight, and that's where I really started building a name for myself. I started getting more opportunities after that, and just really started demonstrating my skills. Speaking on Rampage, like I had like my second title fight after I beat the first dude. I had a Rampage style knockout. It was the first time I've ever knocked anybody out. I had to do had me in a triangle, and I picked him up and just, I mean, I power bombed him through the freaking mat, and it was like a 37-second knockout, I think it was. So yeah, that's kind of where like really took off.
100%. And I want to ask, like, especially in your early career, having those early successes with the with 37-second knockout, you're looking across the ring and that dude's not getting up. Like, where's your head at that time of seeing that there's continued success here?
At the time, I mean, I felt like I was definitely a little arrogant in my celebration. Like I said, I've never knocked anybody out, and so I definitely look back and I was like, man, I look like an idiot. But I was also like, I was only 19, 20 years old, and that's the first time I've ever knocked anybody out. But I think going forward, I definitely improved on that, and was just the way I handled and the way I carried myself. Definitely got better. Just with experience. So.
Um, and you mentioned you started off wrestling. You did some wrestling in high school, and then kind of transitioned into MMA fighting once you got out of high school. How would you describe your fight style to people that haven't seen you fight before? Do you think you're a wrestler first that learned how to stand up and box, kickbox, or do you feel like you're pretty all around at this point in your career? How would you kind of
De-
describe your style?
Definitely all around. At this point, even though like I've got 10 of my wins are by submission, but I feel like I've got overall pretty well. But I definitely started off with just like a high school wrestler. Like you go back and just kind of simple basic takedowns. But I made it work for my style, and just that my wrestling kind of opened up. Like the hands and the submissions and stuff like that. And I wasn't even that great of a wrestler. But I started getting better like towards like my senior year. I had probably was my best season. I was like 19 and 11, which isn't great, but going from a kid from Topeka West, which our school was not the greatest at sports, and specifically wrestling, but I definitely got better, and I've always had that grit, especially when like playing football, man. Like we weren't really that good, and but I was always the one on the sideline, smallest dude on the team, trying to hype everybody up, and I had that grit, and which really, like I said, it really carried me into carried into the wrestling, and then carried obviously into the MMA. So.
And
And
what
kind of the
age? Go ahead,
sorry
E.
sorry to cut you off there, Zay, but kind of to piggyback off of Zayd's question there, like we've been speaking about, you've competed in MMA, boxing, kickboxing, even did some bubble glove boxing. What does each of those sports kind of teach you and like kind of bring to your? I'm a basketball player, so my word is game. I would say my what does it bring to your repertoire? That kind of sounds
Um,
crazy,
I
but
would say like it brings a completeness being able to compete in all those.
hmm
Because you got, I mean, nowadays, man, like kids are starting at such an early age, and they're not just doing one thing. Like they're doing all like sports. Like they're kickboxing, they're doing jujitsu, they're wrestling, they're boxing. So being able to compete in all those, I feel like would just makes you a complete fighter. Not you can't just rely on just one thing. Because guys nowadays, man, they're good and they're at the top, especially where I'm competing at. Like they're great everywhere. They're not just good at just one thing. So, I would say completeness definitely would be the word to describe that. So.
And so in your amateur career, you started off, you're 13-3-1 in your amateurs. And then what age did you turn to go pro?
I think I was 24, 25, roughly.
Okay.
So,
And
so I mean, relatively early.
nice. And so, like, was there a certain moment or something that triggered you to be like, it's time to take this from the amateur to the pro level, or kind of what was that process like for you?
I think just once I got to a certain amount of fights, I just knew it was kind of time. I mean, like I said, I had 17 amateur fights. I fought pretty much the who's who around Kansas, Missouri, and even guys out of there. I fought on a couple bigger shows as an amateur. Fought for a victory bantamweight title. I didn't win that one, but the dude that I fought, we went all 3 rounds, and I had my moments. And that guy he was in the UFC at a point. And then one of the other guys I lost to, he's currently in the UFC. So just I had enough experience and enough fights. I felt like it was just ready to make that jump. And my father-in-law Shannon, he thought it was time too, and so I trusted him with that decision, and definitely I think I made the right one. So.
You touched on your experience over the years and things like that. I start to wonder, how do you continue to stay sharp and like dangerous in your craft, and when opponents are studying everything about you and things like that.
Sticking to my game plan. Just fighting my fight and not letting that get out of reach. I think if I was actually I listened to somebody recently as a wrestler just talking about, he's like, if I wrestle, my match for 8 minutes or whatever it was, like, I'm gonna win that fight. I was literally telling myself that on the treadmill the other day. If I fight my fight for 15 minutes, like, I can't lose. So, and I truly believe that, like, if I fight my fight for 15 hard minutes, I'm not going to lose this fight or any fight at that matter. I feel like I'm very well rounded, even though it doesn't show per se. Sometimes like I said, I like to wrestle and I like to choke people out. But I feel like like I said, if I fight my fight for 15 minutes hard, I can't be beat.
And you're a coach at Twin Dragon MMA, and you did Washburn Roll Wrestling this year. How do you think coaching changed your perspective as a fighter? Do you think this makes you a better fighter to be teach kids and teach people how to fight, or how does that kind of affect
Yeah, I
you?
think so. It gives you a different look on things. You really gotta break things down, and you really gotta really focus on the technique because obviously you don't want to show people the wrong thing. So, yeah, just giving it just going at it at a different look, really breaking things down. I would say helps a lot.
I kind
When
of want
you
to touch back on your transition from amateur to pro and kind of work through your pro career a little bit. In your pro career, what was that transition like for you? Do you feel like it was a different level of competition when you first transition? Then kind of some notable moments, throughout your
Um,
career.
Honestly, I think the first couple of fights were kind of easier, and then because like I said, I think the first like 1 or 2 fights that I had were relatively easy. The original guys that I was supposed to be fighting, they backed out. So like I mean, I went through like 4 or 5 guys for my first couple fights, and then like I think my third fight, I had like a pretty seasoned dude. He was like 20 or 25 fights deep in his pro career. And I would say like probably my most notable win would be LFA when their last show they had on Access TV. I fought a dude that was supposed to fight as an amateur, and his name was Eric Ellington. He was like a NAIA All American, really heavy wrestling pedigree, a lot better wrestler than I was, and I feel like honestly a better overall fighter at the time than I was. But I had that grit and I didn't want to lose, man, especially being on that kind of stage. So I would say that was probably my biggest win to date, and with of course my patented guillotine. It was that video has been shared all over social media, and I mean it's got. I mean, probably 10, 20, 30 million views at this moment. So probably even more than that. I lost count because so many people posted it around, and that's probably my favorite one too, man. It was just I was such a big underdog, and it just felt great to go out there and just kind of show everybody what's up, man. Like I felt like I dominated in every aspect. I beat him up on the hands, I was kicking his legs out, beating his legs up. Even took him down and out wrestled him. Got up from his takedowns, and this dude was. I'm just a high school wrestler, and he was an NAIA All American. And if you look at it like on paper, like I should have lost, should have lost. So it was just great, showing everybody that you can't ever count out an underdog.
Was it the clip when you were like you started off in the guillotine up top, and then he like obviously could tell you he was like not breathing very well, and he like
He was freaking out.
he like slam you on the ground, and then you still had him in the guillotine, and then he tapped. Was it that? Is that the video?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
and
yeah.
it's funny. My coach was I remember my coach like yelling at me like going he wanted me to transition to something else, and I'm like, nah, man, like I feel it locked up. And I think that's what made it even better because like yeah, he like tried to pick me up and slam me, and it was just like just really really brutal to be honest.
Yeah. No, you know someone's screwed when that's their last resort. Just try to slam you down. Like,
Yeah, and even hear people talking about it too. I can't remember what the commentator was, but he's a pretty famous fighter back in the day. But they were like, he's in trouble when he starts slamming you and starts kicking his legs like a little fish.
that's hilarious. Good.
I you spoke on a moment ago your this underdog status that you have in terms of just people look at you and they may not be they think, oh, he's not the biggest guy, and they kind of count you out immediately with this eye test. How do you bring that mindset not only into a fight, but when you're teaching kids or teaching someone something new on the mat and things like that?
I just when I tell people you could never for one you just never count the underdog out, but like I tell people like if I could do something, then like coming from the positions that I was in, like I didn't have a crazy pedigree. I didn't have like all these accolades, but like through hard work, dedication, and just straight up grit, like you can make it if you really want to. And it's like it's cliche and it's really cheesy, but like if you put your mind to it, you literally can do it. And I like being an example of that. And I was talking to my father in law, which he happens to be my coach too. Like I didn't know what my purpose was in life, and I really figured it out after really coaching and wrestling or being a wrestling coach. Like, cause I find a lot of joy in coaching and watching others succeed, and I didn't know what I was gonna like. I didn't know what my purpose and my role was, and I figured it out. And it's being a leader, and showing these kids and these other fighters like no matter where you're at in life, like if you truly put your mind to it and you truly want something, you could do whatever you want in life. And it's super cliche, but like the mind is so powerful, and I tell myself that every single day. Like if you literally can be the best. Like I literally came from nothing, and I did not necessarily all by myself, but like I'm the one getting in there. So like it kind of is by yourself when you break it down, but like you could do it. You put your mind to it, you truly can.
Definitely. That's a good clip right there. That was a
Yeah.
good one, man. That was a good
I,
comment.
um, when you say things like that, like I always think to Zayd and I, hopping on here and doing this podcast, it's something we kind of dreamed about for a while, and then taking the courage to actually, sit down and do that. And then when you sit down and you listen to MMA fighters, you listen to cyclists, you listen to professional basketball players, and you hear people from different spaces all kind of saying the same things in terms of their purpose and you know achieving these dreams that they have. It's very possible, and you never know who might be catching that clip and seeing that, and it inspires whomever and wherever they may be in their life. So that's real game, man.
Yeah, and that's what I want to do, man. I want to inspire people like that are, like I said, I didn't come from a crazy family, like poor, drug ridden throughout both sides of my family. And I feel like I broke that cycle, man. Like I said, I'm, like both sides of my family, a bunch of drugs and alcohol and crazy substance abuse, and I never fell into that, man. I mean, like I've had my moments here and there, but like I never let it capture me, and I never fell into it, and I definitely broke that cycle, and especially after having a kid too, man. Definitely helped change things.
And you mentioned we were just kind of talk about the joy you get from coaching, and what do you think are the biggest mistakes right now you see in young fighters that you try to protect them from as a coach?
Definitely sparring too hard. When I first like made a transition to the gym I'm at now, um, I felt like I had something to prove. And so like I was going with these guys that were, very experienced, a lot of pros, and I lost a lot of brain cells over the years. And sometimes, you could definitely I could feel it sometimes. Definitely not so much more now. I've definitely started taking better care of my like brain and supplementing right and doing the things that I need to. But I would say that's probably the biggest thing. Like you don't have to prove yourself. If you're good, like you're good, and you don't need to be going in there and sparring hard all the time. Like I've had like one or two hard spars this camp, and like other than that, like you really don't need that. I mean, you definitely need to get, to see where your chin's at and, see where your head space is at, but like definitely you don't need a hard spar all the time. Cuz you only get one brain, and once it's gone, man, it's gone. And I've seen people who have done that hard sparring and then taking hard fights and getting their head beat in, and taking fights back to back, and um it's kind of scary, man. Because like CTE is real, and I just don't want to see that to happen to anybody else.
And what were some of those like practices you say you do now? You mentioned you do some supplements and stuff you take. What was some of those things you do now to try to, protect your brain health?
A lot of creatine, which it's funny, like it's known as like a, for size and like muscle, but like there's a lot of benefits coming out about it now, where it really helps, protect the brain and really strengthens it. I do a lot of like mushroom, like reishi, or what's the other one? Lion's mane, cordyceps. Helps with like cognitive function. So like a combination of all those, man, I definitely notice a big difference. Like I'm super focused and locked in throughout the day and practices and stuff. So really, like supplements are definitely a game changer.
I actually got some creatine just laying right here. I
Yeah,
just
heck yeah,
Free promotion, man.
right, facts.
Um, Zaid, we talked about earlier, you know, the teaching and your your influence in teaching and things like that. And I phrase it like that because Zaid, I wanted to flip it and kind of ask you this question: what are some things that you've been able to pick up from Jacob in your time? For those of you that don't know that may be listening, Zaid's actually takes time and goes and trains and is working on his craft as an MMA fighter as well. So, what are some of the things mentally and physically that you've been able to pick up from Jacob during your time training and things like that?
Yeah, no, for sure. I'll say from like a mental aspect, like I'm not necessarily trying to be a professional fighter or anything. It's good to train. I think anyone out there should do some type of combat training. I generally do think it makes you a better person all around. You lose the ego, you lose thinking you're some badass because you go into the gym, you'll get your ass kicked by a 16-year-old. Uh,
Yeah,
so I think first from a mental standpoint, I've just kind of learned to lose the ego, uh, be humble, always be willing to learn, because that goes a long way in fighting or just in anything in life. And then from a physical standpoint, obviously I stopped playing basketball a year ago, um, and I don't think there's a better cardio out there than mixed martial arts, boxing, kickboxing. I don't think there is any better way to stay in shape, whether you're competing or if you're just, going in, hitting the bag, and stuff like that. And I just think it's a good skill, just like just learning how to fight. I think it's, allows you to bring a level of confidence when you go about life every day. So yeah, I love it. It's a nice little outlet, whenever I don't know, if I had a tough day at school or whatever, just going in there and just getting off some steam and, getting a good workout in. So it's been a really good experience for me.
That's dope, man. For real.
Yeah, you need to come back up.
I've been going up there once a week. I've been there on Tuesdays.
Okay. So yeah, I started me and Haley started doing like a couples class on Tuesday. So that's probably why I haven't seen you.
Oh, really? When are you guys doing that?
So we go Tuesday nights from like 6:30 to 8:30 to 8:30. It's called Merge at Fellowship Bible Church here in Topeka. So it's just kind of like a couples class. Just trying to get closer to God, and I feel like that's definitely attributed a lot of things too, man. Definitely a big shift in my mindset, and a big shift in our relationship too. Just really trying to strengthen that, and just society's look at relationships recently is just like it's for other people, and it's for like social media and stuff like that, and it's not about getting closer to God, and just people's their outlook on it is completely different than what it should be. So
Awesome. Awesome. I have another question for you, Jacob. I want to know what would you say is harder for you? Preparing for a fight for yourself or preparing for a fight for someone else?
oh man, that's tough. Probably preparing a fight for somebody else. Making sure they're well rounded and doing everything that they need to, and just reaching out to them every single day, and making sure they're in tip top shape, making sure they're not hurt, making sure their mental game is right. Because you could really self evaluate yourself, and if you're putting in the work or not for yourself, but like watching other people, making sure everybody's getting the right amount of attention, and the right amount of work being put in. It's hard, and honestly, man, like it's weird, but like and I love competing, I love winning myself, but like when I see my teammates out there, and they win, and they get the success, like I feel like I get greater joy out of that than sometimes I do my own self, because like I don't know, you get in there and you get out, and like it happens so fast, and you only have that high for so long, but like I love watching my students I love watching them win, and I love watching them succeed, like in my high school kids too, man. It's super awesome to watch them reach their goals, and get to a different level. So
Definitely. You gotta show E at some point the little choke with only one arm.
oh yeah, you never know, you might see that in the next fight.
No, that'd be
Zayd's funny. Zayd's funny. I was in Topeka over the summer, and this dude was like, Zayd and I, we'll I don't want to say this in a crazy way for anybody listening, but do like some light spar. I'll say light sparring to keep it
Yeah.
professional while we're on the pod.
Mhm.
Zay now do like some light sparring. We'll do like a little bit of shadow boxing and things like that, so he can stay sharp. I'm
Yeah.
not a fighter or anything like that, and I'm not claiming to be, but more so just so he can see against someone who, as I am bigger than him, that okay, I can get my shit off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we're doing that, and this dude's like, "Yo, bro, like I want to show you this move that I learned at the club." So I was like, "All right, cool, like like whatever." He does the choke, and I'm like, "Oh, all right, cool, like let me go, let me go." And he's like, "Is it working? Is it working?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's working." Like, so hey, you can teach me it, but you don't gotta demonstrate.
Yeah.
Just try
I
to out.
Yeah, I love that's probably been like one of my favorite things. I've actually hit it back in my last two fights. I've hit one-handed rear naked chokes on the last two people, and I think I'm gonna try. I think I'm gonna do it again too, man. And this is the stage I'm getting ready to fight at, would be one of the biggest stages to show that move on. I'm trying to make jiu-jitsu great again and make it exciting. Because you see, like it's just a position that you don't see a lot of, nowadays, and because it's like in normal, like in fights and stuff, like it's just a lot of guillotines, a lot. I mean, rear naked chokes and stuff, but like usually, do people are doing it with two hands, and from the back too. And so the position is it's called the crucifix. And so I'll get there, man, and people just don't know what to do, bro. And like they start freaking out, especially when you start smothering their face or you start cross facing them. The smother one cracks me up, man. Like literally covering their mouth and their nose, and then watching people squirm. And it's like
I did
it's
that to
kind
him.
Yeah, that's
of
because he's
Fine, he's not like that.
laughing because this is literally you're walking down the last time we like light sparred, man, and it's oh my
yeah.
goodness.
It's kind of it's
I
kind
see
of
where he gets, I see
sick
where
and
he gets it from. I see where he gets it from.
yeah, it's kind of like sick and twisted. I kind of get a joy out of doing it, but like you work those things in like in the practice room and stuff, and like you train people for you train the guys for people to do that stuff, and like they get out there and like they start doing it, and like people just don't train that stuff nowadays, and it's all legal and stuff, like in the like when you're doing it, like you can cover the mouth and the nose, and it just gets people thinking different, and I'm just like I said, I'm trying to make jiu-jitsu great again. I'm trying to make it fun and exciting, especially during MMA, because a lot of times you get guys that are just they're boring. They'll just sit there and hang on and just kind of hold on for dear life, and like that's not what I'm about. Like I'm trying to get finishes, and I'm trying to get my guys to get finishes and have exciting fights. So
And what do you say? Is
Yeah.
that a Jacob
Yeah.
Gerber Move? That one arm choke?
I,
Is it
I
what you're
yeah,
doing?
I would say so. I mean, I've never seen anybody else in an MMA fight hit a one-handed rear naked choke, not once but twice, and it's about to be three times in a row.
Were you just like messing around, or how do you even like?
Dude, that's crazy, bro. Like I don't even know how I got on the kick. I just remember waking up one day and like we're just doing it all the time. So like I mean, like literally, like all our jiu-jitsu class, bro. It's been like that's all we've been doing. I've gotten away from the more traditional, like I said, like the more traditional on the back arm bars and stuff like that, and just really getting into that because like you get to the crucifix position and people they want to wrestle, and like so I'll act like I'm gonna go spin behind and take their back, but I'll let them have my leg, and it's like dangling the little carrot in front of a rabbit. You know what I'm saying? It's like they want to wrestle because they're doing MMA, and then that you give them what they want, and then they slowly realize that they're not in a good position.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely. I bet it
But,
catches a lot of people off guard.
Oh,
man,
100%.
the more we talk, you can hear the love and the creativity that you have for the sport, and it's awesome. Like there's a basketball player, his name's Michael Beasley, and
Oh,
he
never
like,
mind. Yeah.
oh dude, he had a video where he's like, man, I was in the bed and I woke up in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. and I just started doing a move. And he was like, I just start thinking of moves, and the like the fact you have that creativity and that thought process into the sport goes to show that your love for it is genuine and that you're ever evolving too.
Yeah, man,
Um,
it's given me absolutely everything I've ever gotten in my life. Like, I've got some of the best friends. I've got a family out of it. Like, I've been with my fiance for 10 years now, through MMA. We've got a kid now. My coach is now my father-in-law, which I broke the rule number one back in the day. And but I mean it's worked out in the best of ways that I could have ever imagined. It's literally given me everything, man. Like I remember like there's times like I never even went out to eat, you know what I'm saying? Like when I was younger, like at the most like Arby's or McDonald's or some stuff like that. And now I'm going to like, just better, nicer restaurants. I've traveled the United States. You know what I'm saying? I fought in Ranger Stadium in front of 23,000 people. Metallica was there. Some of the biggest sports names, as far as like MMA, like Vitor Belfort, Tyron Woodley were literally sitting right in front of me. Some of the guys that I looked up to and was watching on TV, and now they're cheering me on, and it's given me absolutely everything, man. I could not have no. It's just it's given me everything, man. I can't be more blessed.
that's awesome. Zaid, I'm gonna let you ask the next question you have, but hey, you said correct me if I'm wrong if somebody's already done it. You said make jujitsu great again. If nobody's done it, throw that on a t-shirt, man. Throw that
Yeah.
on a t-shirt and get a
That's
grab
actually,
to the rear naked. I'm telling you, it's gonna do numbers.
okay. That's a
Hey,
smart idea, bro. I might have to. Yeah,
t-shirt.
yeah.
That's money,
Gotta
boss.
think outside the box.
Hey,
Right, that'd be sick.
Yeah, 'cause I tell people I was like, if you could choke people with one hand, what do you think you could do with two hands?
It's like who's the was that Justin Gaethje is like if one guy can hold you down. I
Two could
mean,
rape you. And that's what I tell the kids at wrestling practice too. Is like, man, if one person can take you down, two could rape you. So you better make sure you don't get taken down.
hey, that's a fact, man. I guess that's a fact.
That's hilarious. But we kind of touched on it earlier, talking about the next fight, maybe hitting one arm rear naked choke. But big news coming up. You just want to share the audience what you have in the works right now in your
Big
upcoming
Yeah,
news
fight.
man.
on
So, yeah,
big news.
March 28th, or I guess signed a contract about a month ago for PFL. I've got a ranked fighter, number 9 for in their bantamweight class, and I'm on the main card too, which is big. It'll be on ESPN two, and man, I'm super pumped. I'm ready to show the world and put on for the city and put on for my last name, man.
Get some snaps.
Get some, man. One thing we're about here on the Easy Convo is lifting up the next man, and for you to be able to do that and continue to evolve in your career, man, that's super, super exciting. I want to ask you, like, how does now that you have this opportunity ahead of you, how does preparing for a PFL fight, how does that go for you? Where is your mind shifted and things like that?
I don't think the preparation's any different per se. Or even my mindset, man, because like I keep the same kind of killer mindset for every single fight. I don't overlook anybody. Because I think you start doing that is when you really start getting away from yourself. So like, pretty much everything is still the same. Just because I always train hard. I always make sure I'm doing everything right. Um, so yeah, I think everything's pretty much the same as it is in the past. I'll probably say I'm working a little bit harder. Definitely keeping just kind of keeping that killer mindset because the guy across from me, he's gonna be looking to take my head off. He hits hard. He's a good wrestler. But so am I. So yeah, I'd say I'm not overlooking him by any means, and I know he's coming to fight, and so I'm expecting a hard 15 minute 15 minute war, and I'm prepared for that.
I mean, you're super active. You've been super active over the last couple of years. So, I mean, you really feel like you're really jumping into camp to get ready for this, or you're just kind of in camp year round?
Yeah, just kind of rolling on through. Like I fought 6 times last year, 5 times MMA. Actually, I'm sorry, 7 times. 5 times MMA and 2 times in boxing. So yeah, it's just kind of rolling on through, just but really just kind of tightening some things up, making sure I'm doing, just kind of doing a little things a little bit different. Just focus on keeping my hands up, making sure I'm not chilling in positions. I'm constantly looking for the next thing, and just being super active. Yeah.
I want to ask, like, what this is more of like just a question as a fan, if
Mhm.
that's fair. But what
Oh yeah.
what would you say is the hardest fight of your career? Like, what is a moment where you were in the ring or in the cage? My apologies, and just like, man, like this is brutal. This is
I would say the last time I lost was pretty brutal. Like I felt good going into it. I just had like a just kind of a crappy situation literally the week of my fight, and I don't like making excuses, but I mean it was a pretty big one. I got some dogs, and they got into a massive fight the week of my fight. And I got my face ripped open. I got my stomach ripped up. I got my tricep ripped up. Like I literally had my muscle was like coming out of my tricep. So that was probably the toughest one, man. Cause like, and I trained with the dude before, and like we were, we're good friends. And it was just business. It was nothing personal. But that was probably I'd say probably my hardest fight, man. Just cause I had that kind of going on, and I felt it going into the the second round. I felt like it was pretty even in the first round, and then he just kind of really started taking it over. He was hitting hard, and he was just just gritty. But I definitely felt like it obviously played a factor. Like that fight lasted probably like the dog between the dogs, it was 4-on-2, and I've got like working pit bull dogs, so they're massive dogs, and it was 4-on-2, um, and honestly, I'm very lucky I didn't die. Like I said, when I got my face ripped open, and like it from like my cheek like right here all the way to the side was completely hanging open. That's just a couple, just a couple inches from my jugular vein. So I'm very lucky I didn't die. So
Oh, your camera shut off.
yeah, my
Damn,
bad.
that's a crazy story. I didn't even know that happened.
Yeah, no, I didn't tell anybody about it, and if I'm being honest, I probably should have pulled out of the fight. But Mama didn't raise no bitch, and there was $10,000 on the line, and I still felt relatively good going into it. But I felt the adrenaline dump in the second round, man, and then I ended up breaking my finger or my thumb in the fight too. I ended up with a Bennett's fracture, and ended up having to have pins and stuff put in afterwards, and it was rough, man. Because if I wouldn't have lost that fight, obviously I would have went on to to the championship, and the guy that I probably should have been fighting in the second round, it was a lot easier fight than the fight that I had, and yeah, man, it was just tough overall. So, but I don't like to I don't talk about those things as far as like putting it out there on social media, just because like I'm, there's no excuses. But I probably should have pulled out of the fight. It would have been smart, because if I wouldn't have lost and then went on the streak that I had, I would end up. I'd be on like an 8 or 9 fight win streak right now, and things they could look different, but you live, you learn, you play the hand you were dealt with, and you just kind of roll with the punches. So.
What do you feel like moments like that kind of teach you about yourself? Not necessarily in fighting, but like beyond fighting.
It just really shows me the kind of person I am and the kind of person that I'm made of. Because I know a lot of people, they would have pulled out of that fight. You know what I'm saying? They would have made all the excuses. They would have been posting to it to social media, and just doing like things like that to make it seem like, really taken away from his win. And like, we went in there, we did our thing, and he beat me fair and square, regardless of the situation or not. Like, I had the opportunity to pull out, and I didn't. So that's on me. So yeah, I just you roll with the punches. So.
And how do you feel like now that you got to fight in the PFL? How do you feel like this differs from different organizations that you have fought in the past?
Just the magnitude of the fight. On It's going to be on ESPN 2. There's going to be millions of eyes on there. The guys that are on the card with me. There's a couple former champs. Johnny Eblin is one of the guys. He's the main event. He's fighting Brian Battle. Brian Battle was in the UFC, and he was on his way to do big things. He happened to miss weight a couple times, so he ended up getting cut. So there's some big names on the card, and I'm ready to stamp my name, and I really want to get my name out there.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a big time opportunity. It sounds like, obviously you deserve it, and it's pretty cool to
Yeah,
see.
yeah, I'd say so. I've been in this game a long time, going on over 12 years almost, 12 years in June. So I'd say I definitely earned that spot, man. Everybody knows, like, I come out, I fight, I'm hard, I'm a hard fighter, I'm gritty. Um, and I look to finish people. I'm not a decision fighter. All my wins I think in my career have pretty much came by submission or KO, besides I think three. So three out of like 28 or 29 of my wins have came by finish. So yeah, I like to finish. I like to be exciting, because that's how you get noticed. And I kind of took that and I ran with it. So.
Definitely. And it's pretty cool. Like, you really have spoken it into existence. Like you said when you first started, like you wanted to be in the UFC, you know what I mean? And the PFL, I mean, that's a stop right before the UFC.
Yeah,
If
massive.
PFL, you'll be in the UFC soon. So it's kind of cool to see, the things that you were spoken to existence when you first started the sport are really happening now. So that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
man. I always had it in the back of my mind that I was gonna do it on the biggest of stages, and that's exactly what we're doing. And regardless of where, there's not a lot of people that from Topeka, Kansas, that are doing big things in professional sports. And yeah, man, I just want to show people that it doesn't matter where you come from. It can be a small town or a big town. You can make things happen if you really put your mind to it.
100%.
What do you kind of spoke on it just a moment ago, but what would you want fans to learn about you when you're on that stage, when you're in that moment?
Um, I just want them to know that I've literally given everything to this sport. I've given my all, and I will continue to do that until literally physically can't anymore. And I just want to show them, what hard work can get you.
For sure. And best of luck to you, man. I'll be tuned in for sure. Definitely a
I
pretty cool
appreciate it, bro.
opportunity. We're wrapping up here pretty soon. Just have a couple more questions. When it's all said and done in, combat sports for you, how do you want to be remembered in the sport?
I want people to remember that, that like I said, I gave it my all. That I've never quit no matter what. And again, just to show people that if you really put your mind to it, you could do whatever you want.
Um, Zayd, I'm sorry, I thought you had something there.
I don't know. I was waiting for you.
Hey, I'm curious, boss. How'd you get the name Gerber Baby?
So it's funny. I was at a church camp my eighth grade year, and there was a couple. They were juniors getting ready to be seniors, and they're honestly they were just making fun of me. I was a little baby faced kid, but like I said, I was always that grit, the one just real loud mouth type of dude, and just they said I look like the Gerber baby, and it just kind of stuck. And I really didn't like it at first because I knew what they were doing. I knew they were making fun of me, and but I kind of I twisted that and I turned it into a positive, and honestly, it's kind of became my trademark, if you want to say. It's definitely a unique name that I've never seen before. And back in the day, I definitely looked like it. If I was to shave my face and everything like that, I would definitely look like a baby face. So it stuck, man. And I just, like I said, I twisted that negative and turned it into a positive.
Yeah,
Definitely. No, it's got a good catchiness to it.
Yeah,
So
it's unique, and
yeah.
especially being on like a big stage, and when they announce that, man, they're gonna be like the Gerber baby, like what,
no, yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Um, I want to touch on real fast before we wrap up. Do you see yourself kind of? I know you guys did the Ludus. Is it Ludus or Ludus?
Ludus.
Ludus. You guys did the Ludus Fight League. Uh, what was that about last August? I think it
Yeah,
was,
last
right?
August.
Do you kind of see yourself transitioning? Not transitioning, but while you're obviously fighting and doing that, but kind of working on the promotional side too, and putting on different events.
Yeah, so we're actually trying to find another location for one. I was actually talking to you the other day about one. We're trying to do one at Washburn University. At the Lee Arena. We're just kind of waiting for the kind of higher ups to give the okay. It's just really hard trying to find a venue that's inside here in town. A lot of places in town, man, it's really expensive, and trying to find sponsors to be able to support that. It's really hard. So we're waiting to hear back from Lee Arena, and hopefully we can work something out with them because I think that would be absolutely huge, bro. Like doing it at a college with thousands of kids that go there, and just I know they would dig that, and I know they would enjoy it, especially being on campus. That's just yeah, it would be crazy. So If we can't do one there, then we're looking back at the Harley. I mean, we had 2,500 plus people there, and everybody loved it. We had no problems. We didn't have no fights, nobody acting crazy. Everybody was very respectful, regardless of whether the alcohol was involved or not. People were, they were on their P's and Q's. And it was just a fun event, man. I love matchmaking, and I love putting on great fights. I don't like lopsided fights, because like you get fights around here that are, like they're done in 20, 30 seconds, and it just like you could tell, as a fighter, you know what you're looking at. So when you see these fights happening so quick, it's just like I don't want to watch that. Like I want exciting fights. I want the best people available, to be fighting. And even like my guys, they didn't get easy fights. They had to really work for them, and so that's what I really want to do. I want to bring, exciting fights to Topeka. So it's just a matter of finding a venue.
Definitely. And no one else, I mean, no, there is no one else in the Topeka area doing what you're doing, as a fighter and on the promotional side. So I think
Yeah,
Topeka, you know what I mean?
yeah, I feel so. John Cantrell does a really good job. He's got a very good record. He's out there doing his thing and on the promotional side too. So
Yeah, Leo Reno would be pretty, I think Leo Reno would be sick because I could tell you just from talking to kids around campus, just in general, everyone loves watching UFC fights and,
oh
you know,
yeah.
everyone loves the sports. I could definitely tell that'd be a packed house if you guys ended up doing it
Yeah,
there.
100%. So I'm praying to God that they come back and they give us something that we want to hear, and they agree to it. It's hopefully we just kind of work out some logistics stuff, but yeah, bro, like that place would be rocking and rolling, bro. Like especially with the fights, like I'm telling you, bro, it would be exciting, and them kids would love it. And if we have one good show, I know they would want to have us back, because if we could work something out, I would love to do 3 or 4 shows a year there, or just in general. So
Yeah,
Long
no,
Frey, answer the phone.
that's a
yeah,
great way.
I
Hey,
know, man. Just like
hey, we
just
done been over
answer
there.
and just
Hey, we done been over there, Lauren. Nice. You feel me?
hmm
Hey, answer the phone.
oh.
But you got any more questions left?
No, I think I'll let you hit the home run here with this one, man, and we'll wrap up. I've enjoyed our time and enjoyed the conversation. I personally learned a lot. It was wonderful to pick your brain and just understand more about, the MMA world and kind of your mentality and just how you are as a person, how you carry yourself day to day, and what you're instilling into the youth and things like that. Man, is beautiful, and you have an ever growing mentality, which is all you can really ask for. You know what I'm saying? That's the people you want to be around. So I've enjoyed our time.
Absolutely, I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate you guys giving me a platform to be able to work on, and honestly work on my craft, and give the people kind of what they want. When I first started, man, my interviews were absolutely horrendous. And I feel like I've gotten better over the years. I mean, just with experience, just like with anything else, like with talking and being on screen, and just being professional. It definitely is going to help me when I get in the cage, and I beat this dude, and they're in there talking to me, and I could just snap things off at the drop of a hat. I don't have to think about it. I just know what to say. So I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, no, definitely. It definitely helps us out too, and just in everyday life, just being able to communicate with people, and
Yeah,
it's fun.
absolutely. I feel like a lot of people don't do that nowadays. They're hiding behind a screen, and they're just typing away. And people need to get back to communicating and talking with each other, and having real conversations, and having life conversations. So
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, just to wrap it up, man, we appreciate you coming on.
yeah,
Make
thank
sure
you.
everyone goes and is your Instagram, what's your Instagram tag? Is it
Gerber MMA 35, and then you can just look me up on Facebook as my name.
very cool? And make sure if you're in the Topeka area to come train with Twin Dragon MMA. They're the best to do it in Kansas. If you want to
Appreciate
learn
you.
how to fight, or if you just want, the cardio, or if you want to be a professional fighter or whatever,
Yeah,
just
we
come
we
in.
we take it all, man. We've got people from from young to old that fight, or just just kind of the average Joe coming in, just kind of wanting to be around. We've got a great community of guys in there, and it's really a family, family orientated gym. We love having everybody. So
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, make sure anyone in the Topeka area, make sure you check out Twin Dragon. Best of luck to you in your upcoming PFL fight.
I appreciate it.
I know you're gonna kill it. And yeah, thanks for everyone listening today. Make sure you like, comment, and share, and we'll be back next time.
Hell yeah.